coming from the front lines, the bloody trenches, the muddy killing fields of the war for justice. The front lines where some never go home. Reach for your phone, cops will rock 10 shots to your dome. From the front lines, the bloodstained streets where we're preyed on by police, looking to feed the beast. Coming from the front lines where I spent my last day living a hell of gunfire or locked in a cage. Yo, what's good? It's Capital X coming to you from the front lines. We are in Tuskegee, Alabama. Once again, y'all met Chief in an earlier blog, and we're here with Chief once again, who's gonna explain to you his theory that he calls 60-20-20. When he told me this, it really hit home, and it made a lot of sense, and he's gonna share it with y'all. How you doing, Chief?
Super fine, my brother. How you feeling?
All right, so you want to break down this theory that you have that you call 60-20-20 for us?
Well, a lot of people are confused about whether police are good or bad. And the fact is, take away the police and society slips into chaos. So that means simply, we must have the police. The problem is we have to understand, what kind of police are we going to have? You know, what kind of police do we want? Well, let's break down a police department. I've spent 27 years in law enforcement. 14 of those years was as chiefs of police at different jurisdictions. I've been able to train police officers in Illinois, Massachusetts, and other states in order to make them the best that they could be. And so what I've determined, being a very learned professional police person, is that 60% of your police officers are good, dedicated people. And when you're a good person, you can be a good anything. 20% of your police officers are on the fence. And they're just sitting there and they are waiting and watching to determine how they ought to roll. Okay? Now, if you provide for that 20% good selection process, good recruitment, good training, good supervision, and a very good retention program whereby you keep only the best of them and cut the others loose, well then that 20% will flock over toward the 60% that are worthy of being police officers in the first place. However, man, there's a 20% in just about every department that you can imagine that racks up all of the negative problems. They are there for the wrong reasons. They slip through the cracks of background checks, and they're able to get a supervisor who's a poor supervisor. So they are like loose cannons out there. And see, the independence with a police officer is a serious business, because a police officer come in on duty after he gets a beat, and he's briefed in the morning by the sergeant or the lieutenant, and then he goes out and gets himself into a car, and this person is loose on the community from that point. So if you have good people in those cars, the community benefits. If you have loose cannons or brutal police officers or gangsters, in a sense, some of them can rate, then you got yourself a serious problem, because you got the possibility then of people being psychologically abused, physically abused, falsely arrested, and just chaos, man. I had a little 10-year-old boy in my car, and see that 60% of the police officers, we don't have to ever worry about them doing anything like that. That 20%, if properly recruited, trained, supervised, and only retained if they are good, they are going to move toward the 60% making 80%, that you don't have to worry about them either. But that 20%, must be watched very carefully by the community. And that 20% must be reported on all of the time. Some people will say, well, it's not going to do any good to report a police officer anyhow. They, whoever they are supposed to be, are not going to do anything about it anyhow. That's bull. You must report every misconduct by every police officer to the chief of police through internal affairs. And if you're in a community where you can talk to the chief, you go directly to the chief and tell the chief what that police officer did. Because see, let me see how I want to say this. The glory or the blessing and everybody reporting is complaints begin to stack up. And the people in charge begin to understand that if we don't do something to this officer, well then we are certainly not a solution to this problem called misconduct, and renegade against a police officer. We become a part of the problem. So when citizen after citizen after citizen after citizen points at Leon Frazier and say Leon Frazier's a bad police officer, well, the chief will have to do something to Leon Frazier, or when Leon Frazier stack up so high that he topbles, he takes a part of the police department with him and will take the chief right down with him also. So 60-20-20 is a very serious concept that people have to understand. And I'm going to round it up with 60% of the police officers, excellent, must have them, they do good work. 20% on the borderline, on the fence, watching to see what command has to deliver. If command delivers, let me say that again. If the command delivers good stuff, then you got 80% of your officers functioning for the community. But that 20% must be dealt with.
Yo, thank you for that. Thank you for that, Chief. There you had it. Straight from retired law enforcement. How many years?
27 years.
27 years. All right, so make note of that. Yo, this is Capital X coming to you from the front lines. Peace.